What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Dynasty Mafia Podcast, episode 40. Can't believe we're making it so far, this far. June 30th with you guys. By the time you're hearing this, possibly July 1st. Good day to you all. Happy July. What's going on, Eric and Keenan?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I see you took the lead on that one, Eric.
Hey.
What's going on?
Threw it right to you.
Yeah. Good.
You're on the lead today.
I'm good, boys. Missed you guys. Haven't seen you guys in, a month now? I mean, even though COVID's kind of running down here, I haven't seen you guys in person about, 2 years now? We got to get together and have a beer. You know what we got to do? We got to do a live show together. I know we've been talking about it, but
wow. I think a live show is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We have been pretty busy. June was a busy month. It flew for me as always. But with that too, sports. There's a lot of sports going on in June. Eric just had his birthday last week.
Happy birthday.
So I know he loves the month of June.
47th, right?
Dude, he's getting old.
Yeah.
Eight kids.
Yeah. Looks good for 47.
2 grandkids.
2 grandkids.
No,
he's black
the
beard.
big 2'8" though. I'm getting close to 30. So I'm getting old. I'm up there.
30's not old.
You are 28, aren't you?
30's the new 21.
Yeah.
Wow. He is 28. Damn, that means I'm getting old.
Did
I'm going to be 30.
You see that picture I put in our group chat not too long ago? When he had like a Justin Bieber
Eric.
kind of, yeah.
I can't say too much for myself because I had my own phase when I was a kid.
Yeah.
When Eric and I were growing up, we had some real problems.
Yeah.
I'm really afraid for my kids for when they're in that, the teenage phase of like 10 to like 17. Because my wife and I look back at our pictures and we're just like, wow, those were some rough times in our life. And you know that those times are coming for your kids. And all you can do is just feel bad and kind of embrace it.
Man, I was a good-looking guy at 16. At 30, maybe not.
Yeah, you keep that was going. We were looking up some old pictures of you too.
Yeah. Sexy, and I know it.
That's right. Yeah, 15 years later, here we are. No, but seriously, we've got, like we said, with the sports, the Euros are on. You have basketball going on with a lot of good stuff going on in the NBA. The NHL Stanley Cup Finals are just started. They just got underway. So, I mean, every night's been kind of busy. There's something going on. We've been kind of cranking, I think, for the month of June, just with everything going on with family, with life. I know I had a vacation in there and really excited to just get back to it. So hopefully we're going to be a bit more consistent now. I think we've talked about setting a date for a long time, and we actually have Dynasty Outhouse with us next week on July 6th. So we're pretty excited for that. And then possibly moving forward, It should be every Sunday.
I thought it was the
6th on Tuesday.
I'll have to check my schedule on that one.
Don't you be playing. But we have a great episode today. We're going to talk about some ADP risers and fallers, the June ADP coming from DLF Dynasty League format. Love those guys over there. We're going to talk about the case for Calvin Ridley as the possible wide receiver 1 overall in Dynasty. Maybe what that means for Kyle Pitts. We have a lot of trades that have happened with the Mafia market. I've got a new mic. Eric is traveling out of town right now. Keenan's outside. There's just so much going on, guys. I'm excited for the show.
Let's do it. Let's get right into it. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it. There was I was sitting at work today. My phone was just blowing up with a bunch of sleeper alerts. I don't know if anybody else, if you got sleeper, download it, or if you don't have sleeper, download it. If you have it, you're probably blowing up too. And it's just a lot of coach speak. This is the time we just have mini camps going on in June, and we have training camps starting at the end of the month, middle of the month for some other team or for some of the teams. So with that being said, guys, in this couple of week lull, how did you take some of the news coming on that we're about to talk about? What did you guys think about everything coming through? Were you excited to see alerts on your phone?
I mean, I get alerts. I get alerts every day. I don't know about you.
Yeah, you're a busy guy over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's exciting. It's exciting that football's back, and those alerts, just means everyone's getting back in the swing of it. But these reports right now, at the end of June, you can't take too much into it. I mean, some things, yeah, but everything's gonna change within 2 months. By the time it's the end of August,
yeah,
there'll be so much coming out, so many reports. Don't I guess I could say as for dynasty football terms, don't trade away a player or something, or don't give up the house for a certain player because of some, coach speak report in June.
Oh, I love sending those coach reports to someone when I'm trying to make a trade. Definitely send out a Damian Harris tweet out today when I was trying to make a trade, and I was trying to send Damian Harris to someone to finalize the deal. And I definitely use those in my advantages. Like, hey, look, this guy's gonna be the running back one. Let's complete this trade. Didn't work though. Eric Visum.
Well, you're speaking of that of Damian Harris, and Eric said himself. He just mentioned that you're trying to put trades out there. Keenan was talking about putting trades out there. I mean, when you get negative news coming out, that's definitely the time maybe to be sending out some offers for players. Maybe of someone you didn't like, like AJ Brown today, or someone you do like AJ Brown had some of the news was that he's still recovering from off-season surgery in both of his knees. So maybe you have an owner who's somewhat reserved and a little bit more conservative. They have AJ Brown. Maybe you have some picks in the first round this year. Maybe you can get a deal done with that because they're a little worried about him coming in, especially with Julio Jones, because he is now a Tennessee Titan. I know it's been a couple weeks, but since we've had a little hiatus, we're definitely going to talk about that in a few moments. So why don't you guys, while I ask that quick question, does the AJ Brown surgery bother you at all?
No, it's July. It's June. What's today? No, it doesn't bother me. I think he'll be fine, and I'm still drafting him high up in all my startups.
Yeah, I'm somebody with shares of him myself, and I'm not worried. It's obviously a little concerning when you're talking about knee surgery just for any player in general, but I think he's young enough, he's talented enough. At this point in his career, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, Antonio, don't come knocking on my door for AJ Brown if I have him, because I'm not giving them for cheap.
Hey, I respect the elite players. All right, I'm not trying to be rude about it, but maybe you'll get a little bit less of maybe like a third round pick offer instead of second round pick offer from this.
Get out! Oh, you can hit the road.
Eric was excited, I'm sure, overseeing some Zach Wilson news coming out of New York. So according to Connor Hughes of The Athletic, he looked so comfortable in the new Jets offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur's offense. Eric, you already love Zach Wilson. Why don't you talk to us about a little bit of the coach speak coming today? Is this kind of what you expected to see from Zach Wilson?
Absolutely. That's why they drafted him, because, they felt he was the best guy for this offense. Just looking at what the 49ers have done, it's a very, QB friendly offense to begin with. And, what he has to transition to into the NFL, it's an easy transition, and it's clearly showing early on.
It's nice to see a little bit different news than Elijah Moore coming out. I mean, I know it's still a rookie with Zach Wilson, but all we've been hearing lately is how great Elijah Moore has been. But they certainly are surrounding him with a lot of pieces. Corey Davis, Keelan Cole, Michael Carter coming drafted in. You have Chris Herndon, who was one of their tight ends, but also Tyler Kroft, the former Buffalo Bill. They talked about him potentially being one of the starters at tight end. Obviously, they brought Jamison Crowder back and still have Denzel Mims. So it's an all-in season for the Jets, especially with new head coach Robert Saleh. So I'm excited to hear positive things, but you're not looking to see anything negative over a number 2 overall pick.
I am.
Oh, yeah? You trying to make some offers?
No, just as a Bills fan. I want to see all the negatives.
Oh, there you go.
But no,
that's fair.
I think he'll be fine eventually. I don't think he's going to have a great year this year, but I think in a few years it's going to be hopefully a top 10 quarterback.
Speaking of the Bills and speaking of a great year, Athletics' Joe Buscaglia said that Zach Moss, second-year running back, is looking to take over the backfield in 2021 if he continues to improve. Again, pretty self-explanatory. If he continues to improve, he's going to get more playing time. I mean, that's what you're hoping for anyways with someone like Zach Moss, because Devin Singletary in his year 2 last year, you really didn't see him take the leap. He is there for the passing game, but they did bring in Matt Breida, and that kind of concerns me. Maybe you guys are different, but that concerns me more for Devin Singletary than it does for Zach Moss.
Yeah, he might be out of a job very soon. You know how the Bills are. You don't produce, you're either not playing or or you move, or they move you. Remember Zay Jones, their second round pick? They after 2 years they gave up on him and traded him for like I think a sixth. So I wouldn't be shocked if Singletary is moved this off before the season starts. I still can't get over that pass in that Kansas City game when he was wide open.
You hate him.
I cannot get over that damn play. But yeah, they invested a second round pick on Zach Moss, right? The Bills.
That's correct. Third round pick, I believe.
Third round pick. Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I think that's their guy. I know they also drafted Singletary to coach and the GM, but I think Zach Moss will fit their offense better than Singletary.
Yeah, and Josh Allen really is that offense we already know. So he already steals the touches in the goal line. And Devin Singletary, I think he had no touchdowns at all on like any attempt inside the 10-yard line as a Bill in his career. So
he doesn't
adding pieces.
He doesn't scare anyone, especially at the goal line. I mean, there's a couple times last year they would give it to him at the goal line and he'd get stuffed. I think.
See, that's the thing though, is for a Bills running back, I'm not basing it off of the goal line because goal line is Josh Allen.
Well, no, you're right. I'm just saying what happened when they handed him the ball at the goal line. He got stopped, and I mean, let's say he scores a touchdown on his opportunities. I think we're having a different conversation right now, where we're not. He just hasn't produced. He hasn't produced in the goal line. He hasn't produced in the receiving game. He hasn't produced at all, and I wouldn't be shocked where Matt Breida was one of the fastest players in the NFL, jumps him in a depth chart, and Singletary is shipped out for a pick.
And Eric,
now I need to move Singletary off my roster. So you guys want second round pick?
It's not that, Eric, that you can't look at it as a negative. I think you have to, because when you have a running back, and we'll move on after this, but when you have a running back that's splitting carries, you want them to be either extremely efficient or they have a lot of touchdowns on those limited amount of touches. And he's not being efficient and he's not scoring touchdowns. So that's where I think he's going to get weeded out of the offense a little bit. And that's where I think Zach Moss is.
That's true. I just think the Bills in general need to. I mean, they need to fix their run game, get a bit more creative, and just be better in general.
But by fixing the run game, what do you need? 60 yards a game, really, from your running back?
Yeah. I mean, this is true. I mean,
the Bills aren't going to change their offense where they're going to go all of a sudden throw the ball 20 times and run the ball 20 times.
Well, then the same time, that means they're going to split carries at running back.
Well, yeah, that might be Breida and Moss.
It's going to be messy. I think for dynasty purposes, Zach Moss, it's definitely the highest asset to own. Probably not worth more than a second at the moment, especially with the options you have coming in.
Until Singletary
I'd take a low-end second.
I'd give it a second, yeah. But
until Singletary is moved or something happens injury-wise, I'm staying away from this backfield. This is like a New England Patriots backfield to me for all those years that we always try to stay away from their backfield in fantasy. All right, move on.
I got you. Yeah, well, I wanted to stick with the Bills for 1 second because you mentioned they're a team that if they don't get production out of a position that they're going to move on. Well, Dawson Knox going into his third year. I know you guys know I'm hammering the table for him. I know a lot of our friends hammer the table for him here in Buffalo, but it sounds like Jacob Hollister might supplant him if he can't do anything about that. I know it's not much news, but for Dynasty, Dawson Knox was a player in his rookie season, was able to get over 350 yards, I believe, on limited action. So he was very promising. He's a big body player. Keep an eye out for him.
He's got the talent. He's got the talent for sure. And
a lot of drops.
That's why, like when I was doing our drops for Dynasty in our league today, I looked at Dawson Knox. I'm like, I just can't do it. Can't do it yet until Zach Ertz is traded there, or until they announce that so and so is a tight end one. I can't drop him.
Yeah, and as we're still talking about the wide receiver corner, I know we were talking about the Bills a little bit, but that's where it looks a good amount of the news was coming out. Joe Buscaglio was talking a bit, but it sounds like Emmanuel Sanders, he believes, is going to be the wide receiver 2 in Buffalo over Gabe Davis, the highly hyped Gabe Davis after a good rookie season. So what do you guys think about that real quick here? Your thoughts on what Emmanuel Sanders could do as far as an impact, maybe just for 2021, if there's an impact a year beyond that. I believe it was just a 1-year deal.
That's Eric's guy. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, you send the veteran minimum 1-year deal. So, Eric, what do you think about Emmanuel Sanders as wide receiver 2? And what will it do to Gabe Davis?
I mean, like you guys said, the Bills aren't going to change their offense. They're going to be pass heavy. I think it's only going to help Gabe Davis. I mean, as we saw even when John Brown came back, Gabe Davis was still putting up good numbers and he was contributing to the offense. That when John Brown came back, I believe is when he had that amazing, the whole toe touch out to the outside. That great catch there. So I think he's still going to continue to grow with Josh Allen and with the offense. And like I said, Emmanuel Sanders is only going to help him, throughout his career. So as dynasty for this year, it does concern me a little bit, but for dynasty wise and for the long term, I think it really does help him.
I mean, he still had a great year last year as the wide receiver 3 or 4, whatever he came into camp at. If I have him in dynasty, I'm not just giving him away for free.
This is the news you're probably looking for, Keenan, or the news I was talking about.
Yeah, I'm buying
news that you can go buy him. Yeah, I mean, again, so you're talking about late second-round picks. I'd rather have Gabe Davis over – oh, man, let me just pull this up real quick. Let's see. So the late second, you're probably talking about Kadarius Toney's, Amon-Ra St. Brown, early third, Amari Rodgers. I mean, you might not be getting Gabe Davis for those, but – I mean, he's in a high-powered offense, and he could be seeing 70, 80 plus targets, even if he is that third option. So, all right, we'll move on, guys, from that news. Let's see. Frank Reich talked a little bit about JT, Jonathan Taylor, saying that the run game is going to go right through Jonathan Taylor. So some of the news we expected to hear, I think it gives a little sigh of relief to those JT owners because you're a little worried about Nyheim Hines, a little worried about Marlon Mack coming back. But he was amazing, down the stretch, especially in the playoff games. He averaged over 22 touches a game in the last 6. So I'm pretty excited for what Jonathan Taylor can bring to the table. And as long as you're, hearing that now he could be have that workload, even if you already expected it, he's going as the number 2 running back right now overall in startups, right behind Christian McCaffrey. How do you feel about that?
Eric?
So he was going number 2 overall, you said?
He's the number 2 overall running back. He is, number 2 and or 3 overall.
Yeah, I'm absolutely right on par. When I put out my top 12 dynasty running back rankings back in, it was a couple months ago, I had JT as my number 2 right behind Christian McCaffrey. And even now, I may even consider putting him above. Maybe not this off season, but I can definitely see JT bumping ahead of CMC next off season. So now is a good time to buy in, in terms of value. Whatever, you see these trades that people are making, they're selling off CMC right now. I think you'll be able to get even more than that next off season for JT.
My thing is with CMC, I think you have to move him this year if you're going to move him, because if one bad year, you're another bad year. He had an injury year last year, and he has a bad year this year. You're kind of screwed. But back to JT, I think I don't know what their head coach is talking about. I mean, I'm not surprised that he's their running back 1. I mean, who else is there? And when it comes to dynasty, the only thing that kind of scares me with him is, are we going to see this offense go from more run heavy / Philip Rivers offense to a little more pass heavy with Carson Wentz running the show there?
I think they'll become a more downfield attack than they were. You're definitely not wrong there, which could affect Jonathan Taylor's catches. But I think that might mean that they'll just keep his rush attempts a little more sustained. And it's not that we were worried about players like Nyheim Hines and Marlon Mack. It's that the coaching staff was talking about Nyheim Hines and Marlon Mack.
Is Mack still there?
He tore his ACL, I think, last year. Or
I thought
where he was out all year, but they said good things about him like a month ago.
Yeah, but
I mean,
but for JT, I think them, becoming more downfield, and they still have one of the best offensive lines in the league. I think that's actually going to help JT, just overall, and he could see a lot of touchdowns in this offense. Like we're talking potentially 14, 15, 16 plus touchdowns in this offense. If Carson Wentz comes back healthy and is great, like he really could be, back with Frank Reich behind this offensive line. He still has T.Y. Hilton there, and a couple other weapons, Michael Pittman Jr. So yeah, it could be a very good offense.
Even if it Wentz struggles, though, it's going to help JT. So I think JT's in a win-win situation.
Yeah, and especially this year and Wentz's first year with the team and everything. Ty is another year older. I could see them leaning on the run game a bit more for sure.
That's fair, and I think that's going to wrap up. Mike Williams was talking about
whatever.
Expecting to play the X. I don't know. I mean,
whatever.
That's
every year.
I know we don't want to care about Mike
every
Williams.
year.
I know, but it is that time that you could try and buy Mike Williams on the low. I've been trying to sell him in one league, dude.
Sell him high.
I've been trying to sell him for like 4 years. It's so bad.
Yeah.
I cannot get rid of him in my league, and I'll literally take like a third, and nobody will want to give him to me. But
sure, I'll give you.
It's super interesting. I think the crazy thing, though, is everybody's talking about how great Justin Herbert's going to be. I understand there's some regression they're expecting, but he had a great rookie year. And then you have Keenan Allen, who's touted as a top 10 wide receiver. And then they lose their tight end in Hunter Henry. And then Austin Eckler is still going to be there, but they're not run heavy anymore. So where's the negative things for Mike Williams? That's all I'm wondering. I'm just trying to play a devil's advocate there. Like, where's the negativity of what Mike Williams could be coming from? Why can't he be?
Mike Williams is a negativity. He kills himself every year. It's some injury or he just can't, get the targets because Keenan Allen's getting 15 targets a game. But you make a good point with Henry gone now. I mean, someone's got to get those catches or opportunities, and I'm trying to think of who their tight end is now. Do they even have?
It's Donald Parham.
Who?
Donald Parham. I believe they also have. Escape me if I'm wrong.
That's the first time I've heard of him.
Jared Cook. I think they have Jared.
Yeah, I was gonna say they have Jared Cook now. So they're gonna have targets there for the tight end. I think he's gonna fill in pretty good.
So Mike Williams over the last 3 years has only missed 2 games, and he's gotten 85, 89, and then 66 targets. But last season he had 756 yards and 5 touchdowns. So if he can see 100 targets and improve his catch rate a little bit more, you're talking about a potential 1,000-yard, 8-touchdown player. And that's someone who might be value. Oh, yeah, Keenan getting a little dark there with your outside.
Got the spotlight on. Got the spotlight on.
Nice. You're blinding.
Yeah, but Mike Williams, he, like you said, with the injuries, you said he only missed 2 games, what?
In the last 2 years. He's played 15 games last
year.
But
that's even worse in my opinion, because he disappears for games, and it's like he gets you all excited about having a big 2-3 touchdown game, and then he's gone for 6 games, and
he's almost like a big poor man's DK Metcalf.
Yeah, it's just like how long you want to ride the roller coaster. I don't know. I mean, if he comes out strong in the beginning of the season, I might sell him off. I don't know. I gotta see how I'm feeling. Obviously with Herbert there, if Herbert's looking great, obviously still, maybe not. But
do you think a third? Would you throw a third for Mike Williams, or would you rather take a third?
Oh, 100%. I would give a late second in this class for I would give a.
Ooh, slow down. Where you're going?
I don't know. I mean, we were talking about Gabe Davis. I didn't get to throw it out there. I would give a high second for Gabe Davis right now. And even a mid to high second for Zach Moss as well, since we're on that. But yeah, for him, yeah, I would go up there. I mean, you're talking this kind of potential. Why would you not? We were already talking before after the first.
That's a good call
in a super flex league after the first 12 12 picks, it kind of fades out. 12, 13 picks, it kind of fades out. So
yeah, right now
for what he could be, a mid second, it might be worth it.
That's pretty fair. Right above Mike Williams. Mike Williams, wide receiver 57. Gabe Davis. Good call. And then Henry Ruggs, Denzel Mims, Darnell Mooney. So you're kind of in that range. He's in that range of, Kadarius Toney right behind him. He's in that range of a bunch of what ifs and could be's. And, we're kind of hoping the same thing for Mike Williams. He's just a little older. All right, guys. Speaking of older, Julio Jones, still in his prime, right? 31 years young. Gets traded over to Tennessee. I know you guys know about this. It's been a few weeks. Everybody understands that, but we wanted to give some of our 2 cents. And then I'm going to tell everybody why Calvin Ridley should be your dynasty wide receiver 1. So Julio got traded to Tennessee. Like I said, Atlanta received a 22 second and a 23 fourth. Julio went to Tennessee as well as a 23 sixth. So it wasn't too much, but they got the second. I think some people were kind of surprised that they were able to at least get the second out, which is nice. But he was still on pace last season, guys, for almost 1,600 yards if he hadn't played just 9 games. What are you thinking of this? What was running through your head when you saw this trade happen? Who won it, Atlanta or Tennessee?
I'd say Tennessee.
I'm sorry, not who won it. I didn't mean to ask it that way. I meant is Julio in a better situation, a worse situation? What players are winners and losers?
Julio's a winner. Julio's 100% in a better situation. Obviously, we've seen what the Falcons, in terms of winning in the NFL, I think, in my opinion, Julio is in a better situation. The Falcons are potentially about to be 1 year away from a complete rebuild. And on top of that, the Titans, they already made it was the AFC Championship 2 years ago, I believe. And they're a piece or two away, and he was that piece. I think this is better for A.J. Brown. I think it's better for Derrick Henry. It's obviously better for Ryan Tannehill. I think worst case scenario, the Titans are at least as good as they were last year, which means he will at least produce to what Corey Davis did. And for the value he's going at right now, I think that's pretty good. So yeah, I think it's a win-win for Julio.
You know who it's a loss for, right?
Yeah, who's your biggest loser in that?
Derrick Henry.
Really?
It's easy. I mean, he lost Smith, who's a great blocking tight end. 2, he got Julio Jones on the outside. Now they're gonna have to throw the ball more.
Do they though?
They have to. Why if you have Julio and AJ Brown, why would you run the ball more than throw the ball more? In a league that wins passing. And you have a quarterback that's had better stats than Patrick Mahomes.
You've had a quarterback that's had better efficiency, and in some areas he's had some better stats. Yeah, but at the same point, like if you look at their 2020, Keenan, Corey Davis, for example. Sorry, as I'm just re-pulling this up here, AJ Brown can continue to get the targets that he's getting. You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't need to change. It's just he might not be the number 1 targeted on the team anymore, and he can still get. And he can still get his 100 he had 106 last year. So let's say they can up their passes, hopefully by at least 50 attempts. You'd think. But Derrick Henry's going to get all the rushes still, so he could still get 350 rushes instead of 400. But, Corey Davis had 92 targets. Jonnu Smith had 65. Anthony Ferguson had 53. So between those 3, you're looking at 220 targets. Why can't Julio get 140 of those? And then you have Ferguson can get maybe 60, and then another tight end.
Think about it this way as well. Julio, instead of Corey Davis on the outside, in my opinion, opens the offense up more. It's going to draw more attention to the outside. And with that, something that we thought would be even scarier and would never happen, but a more efficient Derrick Henry than we saw before. And in my opinion, if he goes down to 3, if he loses, carries, if he's still more efficient, I think he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, he had 378 regular season attempts, and he averaged 5.4 yards per attempt. So if he goes down at least to 5 yards per attempt and is still able to get 350 carries, I mean that's 1,750 yards. I mean the guy's still going to be great. I don't know. I think it's going to be less stacked boxes, so that would be more efficient, like Eric said. But I really think that Julio is going to be the number one target here, and AJ Brown will be second, but they're not going to be too far off from each other. It's just going to be super heavily concentrated. Think about like the Minnesota Vikings offense with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and Kirk's not throwing the ball more than 500 times a year either. But I think that's how that offense might look. Now, Atlanta guys.
Hold on. Back to Tannehill and Mahomes.
Didn't know if you wanted to move on. Sorry.
I was looking for the chart. Quarterback rating for Tannehill, 114, Mahomes 105. This is in the last 24 starts. Passing yards, Mahomes has them beat by 800. Total touchdowns, 61-56, Tannehill. They both have 10 interceptions. Completion rating is 67.7 to 66.4. Tannehill has beat. Just so you know, Tannehill is very, very underrated, and he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Adam Gase kind of, screwed Tannehill in Miami, and ever since he's taken over that starting role in Tennessee, he's been nothing but a really, really good quarterback, and probably a top 5 quarterback. Maybe not fantasy wise, but he has been very efficient when it comes to running that offense. And I think there's a reason why they went out and got Julio Jones. They didn't just go out to get Julio Jones just to help, to get their wide receiver one. They thought they were one piece away. And how do you win in this offense? You win by passing. Not only that, Smith, the tight end that signed with New England, was one of the better pass blocking tight ends last year in the league. That's going to hurt Derrick Henry as well.
Yeah, but Derrick Henry doesn't need more blocking.
Not only that, he doesn't need more blocking, but their offense did use Smith to help block. Not only that, when it comes to red zones, now you have two wide receivers on the outside, 2 big wide receivers on the outside, physical wide receivers on the outside. You're going to throw more in the red zone than just turn around and pass and hand it off to Derrick Henry.
That's true, but he didn't get a lot of his. And again, I know it's tough. He had over 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. So to sit here and say he's going to get you 1,700 total yards and 15 touchdowns, I mean, it's a big possibility even with this addition. So I think that you can argue that maybe his ADP right now. Sorry, as I'm just double checking, he is going RB9 right now. Yeah, so he's 15th overall. I mean, he's right behind DeAndre Swift, right ahead of Antonio Gibson. Not a conversation for today, but it could be for the future. But I don't know. I'm a little torn. I acquired Derrick Henry in a trade, so I finally have an asset of him. We're going to talk about that a little later.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. But I think it's hurt him a little bit. I won't be shocked. I won't be shocked if we see his rushing numbers decline and his touchdowns decline. And I'll put a 6-pack on that.
We'll have to talk about it. Let me have a little bit of a appreciation moment for Julio Jones, if we could. I think he didn't get a lot of the appreciation he needed when he was in Atlanta. And since entering the league in 2011, Julio Jones, my man, he has the most receiving yards, almost 1,300 more than the next closest player, mind you, which is Antonio Brown. He's second in targets, second in catches, and he has the highest yards per game ever of a wide receiver. The man's freaking insane. He's awesome. I don't care about his age because he's one of those elites that's going to be able to do it until he's probably 34. So you're talking at least another 3 or 4 years of him doing really good things, and hopefully as long as Tannehill can keep that up too. But the other thing too is the problem is he's 10th on that list I just mentioned in receiving touchdowns with only 60. Of the top 10 list on there, there's only 5 people that entered in 2011 or later, or in 2011. The other players were in 2014 or later, and 2 of the players are retired. So, I mean, that just shows you how little touchdowns he's been getting. And one more thing I want to talk about. Yes, sir.
It is odd how that he hasn't had touchdown receptions in his career. I think you and I always talked about it, how he's going to become more of a red zone threat in Atlanta, and it just never happened.
And it was odd. Like he was just always, they used him as a decoy so often. And a lot of coaches that they had, this is the first coach Matt Ryan's got that's an offensive minded coach. Think about that. He's 37 years old.
Who is?
Matt Ryan. He's never had a head coach that's been offensive minded. They've always been defensive minded. So with that being said, that they're always just trying to score because they want to figure out how to stop the other way. That's why they're being conservative and not really helping Julio out. But the most touchdowns Julio ever had was 10, and that was in his second season. So he had a fifth or a sixth of his touchdowns in 1 year. And only one time he had double digits. It's crazy. But that being said, the amount of 100-yard games, though, if you had to guess, he's played 135 career NFL games. How many of those games did he have 100 yards in him?
Almost all of them, I want to say.
That's very respectful.
But 135, I'd say 98.
All right. Well, I'll say $1, Pat.
All right. I like that answer better. The answer is 58. He's had 5,800 100-yard games out of his 135. Yeah.
That's shocking to me. Not going to lie.
Yeah, I guessed way too high.
Well, it's okay. It's respect. He's fourth all time in 100-yard games, and he averages them a bit more. I think I was doing the numbers actually, because now that I'm looking at it even more, I don't think my number was accurate in that. But second is Antonio Brown with 43. And this is since 2011. So that shows you. Sorry, I probably should have prefaced that. So since 2011, who's got the most? He does, and it's by 15. It's kind of crazy how often he gets that. But let me just make sure this number that I had is correct. Yeah, that is correct. So here's your percentage of games of these wide receivers that are in the top four when they get their 100-yard games. Jerry Rice did it 25% of his games. Julio, as we said, was 43. Randy Moss was 29%. Marvin Harrison was 31%.
Interesting.
Not even close. Now, you want to know who's 53%? 53% of their career games they've started that they've had 100 yards or more.
Are they playing for Atlanta right now?
Yes, you're right. They are.
Calvin Ridley.
His name's Calvin Ridley. His name is Calvin Ridley. 53%. He's doing better. I'm going to go on a little rant here. I know I've been talking a while about the Falcons, guys, but you just need to listen because if you didn't buy Calvin Ridley like I did this offseason, even if I didn't already have him drafted because I have him in a lot of leagues, you're going to regret this. You're going to regret this for a lot. You know why? Because he played 7 games last year without Julio Jones. Because Julio played 9 in those 7 games, 50 catches, 79 targets, 765 yards, only 3 touchdowns. He had the Julio syndrome. I was kind of surprised to see that. I know a lot of us were, but Keenan, do you know how many of those 7 games did he have 100 yards or more?
75, you said, right? He played
how many games he played in 7 games without Julio last year?
100 or 100%. So
I love the respect, but it was 5 out of 7.
I knew it was up there because you're
because I was loving it. So I'll move a little quicker. I'm sorry, everybody, but these facts, it's just tough to say no. This is why he is my dynasty wide receiver 1. And I can't go against it. I can't refute it. I've projected his stats and I keep adjusting them and I can't change them. But if you stat out those 7 games out to a 16, now 17 game season, 187 targets, 119 catches, 1,853 yards, and 8 touchdowns. That would have been wide receiver 2 last year behind Devontae Adams. Now, even more so, amazing.
What do you have, like a diary of
you? Dude, you don't even want to know. I got pages on pages on pages to be flipped, dude. It's about everything. Julio Jones has received 9+ targets, 80 games out of his 135 career games. So I say 9+ targets because on a 17-game pace, that puts you at 153 now in this day and age, which will put you up near the top 5 in targets. Following me?
I'm following.
You're following me. So 60% of his games, he gets at least 9+ targets. Ironically, Calvin Ridley has had 17 games where he has had 9+ targets in his career. Those stats: 185 targets, 117 catches, 1,735 yards, and 12 touchdowns. He'd have been wide receiver 1 last year if that was the case. I know I'm singling things out and kind of commingling a bunch of stats, but the crazy thing was that was his 9+ target game stats. didn't those sound extremely familiar to his 17-game pace in the games without Julio Jones on those other states I gave you?
Yeah, but I have one question.
Yes, sir.
I mean, yeah, Julio Jones is out, but they just drafted probably one of the best tight end prospects to come into the NFL ever. Some of those catches are going to some of those catches are going to Pitts. They're not just going to Calvin Ridley.
Oh, they are. They are 100% going to go to Pitts. But the problem is, well, I don't want to say the problem, but do you want to know that the best season that's ever happened from a tight end? A rookie tight end, because that's the big argument everybody's having against Kyle Pitts. He can't do it. Don't believe the hype. He's a rookie. You know, they don't assimilate well to the NFL. It's like, guys, he got drafted as the highest tight end ever, tight end rookie, highest tight end ever. He's going into an offense that just gave up their best player in team history. They could have drafted their backup quarterback for the future. They could have protected him on the offensive line that is just absolutely horrible. They did none of that. You know what they did? They drafted their tight end, who they're going to put in their tight end and they're going to put in their wide receiver spot. Now, the most targets
I was going to say he's not just going to play the tight end. He's definitely going to play all over field.
He's gonna be everywhere. Like, the guy's got a bigger wingspan than Calvin Johnson.
So are we?
Did you know that?
Are we talking about you loving Calvin Ridley or Pitts right now? Because you got me.
So this is the problem. This is my problem. I love them both so much that I don't know what to do in Dynasty because I love them both so much. But this is what I'm explaining to you why I'm not crazy. Jeremy Shockey, 128 targets. Evan Ingram, 115 targets. I'm not going to count Mike Ditka back in the 60s because he had an amazing year in 14 games.
He's not.
Yeah, it's a different conversation. Yeah. But my point is, Evan Ingram is second with 115 targets. Why explain to me why, if Evan Ingram's able to get that, why is Pitts, who's put in that position, not able to do that? You know what I'm saying?
So this answers my question from the earlier conversation that we had about our trade offer. So you are drafting Pitts now.
So I'm going to keep going now.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Now, with that being said, Jeremy Shockey, when he had 128 targets, he had 74 catches, 894 yards, and 2 touchdowns with 12.1 yard per catch. Not that great, right? For 128 targets. You know, Pitts is going to be smashing probably 12 yards per catch easily. So my current projection for Kyle Pitts, because I have Matt Ryan throwing actually just about his career average in attempts. So as I mentioned, Arthur Smith's his first offensive-minded head coach. I don't really have him throwing a crazy amount more, but I currently have Pitts for 122 targets, 83 catches, 1,009 yards, and 9 touchdowns.
Wow. So yeah, you're going to be targeting him in redraft leagues too, then.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think he's going to get 1,000 yards. I think he's a candidate for 10 touchdowns. I think he's a candidate for 120 plus targets. Do you want to know, and I won't bore you guys even more so, I think I have to write an article with the amount of research I did on this, but
Eric hasn't said anything in 10 minutes.
Guys, I got so much on here. And also, to be a top 5
I thought I was reading an audio or listening to an audio book.
God, it's amazing.
Calvin Ridley and Pitts and in the Atlanta offense.
I think his floor is tight end 6. Like, I think his floor is tight end 6. I really do.
What's the ceiling?
So the ceiling, so I actually put that. I think the ceiling is wide receiver 2 or 3 comparable. Or I'm sorry, tight end 2 or 3. I think his ceiling's there. I think it could be 1. Honestly, it could be 1. He just needs to see 140 targets. But I said 120 targets for 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns.
I might draft Pitts now first overall in our league.
You might have to. And this might make you draft it even more. Do you want to know how many times Matt Ryan – so Matt Ryan has played 13 seasons. Do you want to know how many of those seasons a tight end was targeted in his top 3 out of combination wide receivers, running backs, tight ends? How many seasons a tight end was targeted top 3 on his team?
On what team? Atlanta?
On Atlanta, yeah. With Matt Ryan as the quarterback, so he was drafted in 08, so he's had 13 years. How many of those seasons do you think a tight end has been top 3 in targets on the team?
I'm going to say a lot.
9.
That's right. 9. Great guess. That's a great answer because that's the right answer. 9 times. Do you want to know? It was Tony Gonzalez, a lot of them. Do you want to know how many from 2009 to 2013?
He's the best.
Can't forget Tony Gonzalez.
Hey, the best
but that's the
ever.
point. Kyle Pitts is one of the best prospects in history, and he's being put in a great position. But the point is, he threw to the tight ends. Tony Gonzalez in 5 seasons, 09 to 13, averaged 121 targets. 121 targets. And in the last 3 years, Austin Hooper had 97 targets. Hayden Hurst had 88 targets. I mean, I don't understand why if Hayden Hurst can get 88 and Austin Hooper can get 93, why the hell I can't sit here and say Kyle Pitts can get 120. So, and that's with Calvin Ridley getting 180 targets.
All right. Well, I mean, you're not convincing us.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all, and I don't think Eric is either.
And a bigger reason I have to say this too is more information that I did was the average top 5 tight ends had about a 65% catch rate.
Is this what you did on vacation?
It's been a combination of times. So the top 5 tight ends had an average of 65%, and you have to have at least 95 targets to make it in the top 5. If you're not getting at least 95 targets, historically you're not there. Robert Tunyon's the only one who did that, which was last season, and it's because he had like 43 touchdowns. And it was only on 59 targets. But yeah, so if I just give him 65% catch rate and I give him 120 targets, I mean, that's where you're putting him at near 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. I mean, they got to go somewhere with Matt Ryan, right? All right.
Yeah. But now here's my question with like dynasty related. They're going to move on from Matt Ryan eventually.
Yeah, I think.
Are you worried about that?
I think I'm not worried about it at this moment because I think Matt Ryan's got at least 3 years of being good or above average. And I know a lot of people are going to sit here and tell me Matt Ryan hasn't been average even maybe the last couple of years, but they have a crappy defense. They're going to throw the ball a lot, and he's going to probably put all those targets amongst 2 or 3 people. So I don't really care what the deal is. They're going to get fantasy points.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right. I'm going to take some water.
I hope everyone enjoyed the Atlanta Falcons 20-minute segment there. Thank you, Antonio.
Yeah. I'll have to make sure to tell everybody if they don't want to hear about it, just to fast forward about 10 minutes. Put that in the description.
All right.
All right. So we're here to the main show. We're going to talk about our ADPs. First, why don't you make sure you're following us on Twitter or unfollow me after that segment if you really would like to, at Antonio Denisi FF. You could follow Keenan at Keenan_716. You could follow me at Big E, or you could follow Eric at Big E_FF.
You going to change your handle to at Antonio Denisi Atlanta Falcons FF?
Yeah, ATL.
The FF stands for First Falcon. Yeah. So, and make sure to follow the pod at Dynasty Mafia_FF. If you're following us or watching us on YouTube, make sure to click that little subscribe button. If you're not, hit the bell. You'll be able to see us every time we come on.
They're long gone.
They're long gone. They left. You know what? We wanted to talk today. We said we wanted to talk.
I mean, if they're Atlanta Falcon fans, they're still here. They're still listening. You
don't have to be Falcon fans. Just be Ridley fans, be A.J. Brown fans, Julio, Pitts. I mean, if you're any of those, it's good for all the above. I got to talk about Mike Davis, though, one of these days, man. Like, I'm scared. My projections of Mike Davis are way too high.
Let's hold off on Mike Davis.
Yeah, I don't like it. All right. So we were going to talk ADP today, as we've been doing a little bit. But like I said earlier, the June DLF ADP came out. So we're going to give a couple undervalued and overvalued players of ours. Eric, I'm going to let you speak while I go grab myself some water.
Yeah. I'll just start with my undervalued. So my first one, which I don't think is any surprise, is Juju Smith-Schuster. I thought it was pretty crazy. He's going for it right now at wide receiver 30. I know everyone's worried that he re-signed with Pittsburgh, but even last year in this same exact offense, without a good running game, he finished wide receiver 18. And at his age, he's only 24 years old. Like I'm very surprised that he's going this low, especially in dynasty leagues. Yeah, he's my first undervalue. I think he's going to put up a similar year. He's probably going to be top 20, at least top 25. So just that alone, this season alone, he's going to beat that value. And then next year, I mean, maybe he re-signs with Pittsburgh. Maybe not. We'll see what happens. I mean, maybe he decides to take money, if Big Ben retires. Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, I think he's a screaming value right now, and I'm buying him up everywhere.
Yeah, I think if he has a great year this year, some team is definitely going to pay up and snag him.
Last offseason, people were literally talking about him potentially being the wide receiver 1 overall.
Yeah. If he signed a multi-year deal in Pittsburgh, I'd probably be like, I don't want him because the quarterback situation is a little iffy. But 1-year deal, let's get that. Let's get that 1 year out of the way, and let's see if he goes somewhere else, and or if he stays in Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh gets a better quarterback.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with all that. I'm a big fan of Juju's bounce back. I know they took that 1-year deal so he can go, get paid somewhere else.
Well, let me tie in my overvalue on this one since we're talking about Juju.
Go for it.
Yeah, I got Devontae Johnson here. Wide receiver 20. Deontay Johnson. Excuse me. And I mean, come on. Juju Smith-Schuster resigns there, and they still have Claypool there, and they just drafted another running back, Najee Harris. So who's gonna get the ball here? Are they gonna run the ball? Or how are they gonna, split the throws between those 3 top wide receivers there? And he has drop issues. So when I saw he was at a wide receiver 20, I'm like, that's a little high for me, and I'm definitely going to stay away from him, especially with Juju coming back. If Juju did not re-sign there at wide receiver 20, it'd be totally fine.
Deontay, yeah, I know everybody's worried. I know we're worried about his drops, but at the same point, he was like 5th or 6th in targets, I think, like the last half of the season. And throwing the ball is because they're not too worried about the drops, right? So I feel like he's going to keep getting the ball. I actually like him. I actually think he's undervalued at wide receiver 20, especially being young, and he's going to get peppered. Well, I know. I mean, I know they're gonna probably change the offense. They talked about changing the offense, but
and if Atlanta trades for him, watch out, ladies and gentlemen.
Should I?
Dude, that'd be great.
Should I go with my other undervalued?
Might as well.
Yeah, you could talk about your other one.
All right. Yeah, he's a bit high right now at wide receiver 7, but I still think he's undervalued, and it's my man CeeDee Lamb. Before Dak Prescott got injured last year, he was a top 5 wide receiver. I think providing Dak stays healthy this year, it's going to be the same exact offense as it was in the beginning of the season last year. Yeah, I think he's going to go right back to being top 5 and being great. And then, that's just for this year alone. And then you're talking about for the rest of his career and how young he is. He's going to Dak's only 26 years old as well. So, he just got signed to a long-term deal. Either Amari or Michael Gallup is going to be gone next season. I think right now is going to be the only time you can buy CeeDee Lamb. After this season, he's going to be impossible to get.
Yeah. I traded for Amari Cooper in Antonio's league, and I'm kind of starting to regret it because I think CeeDee Lamb definitely eats away there.
Well, you need Amari to be gone first, I think, before CD can officially eat away anything.
Do you
think
CD
gets his targets?
Like I said, before Dak was hurt, CD was top 5 in fantasy.
Yeah.
So was Amari.
Yeah, but they were also throwing it 60 times a freaking game because they were down by 4
points. Is that going to change?
I mean, I hope their defense got better because if you're down 40 plus or 30 plus points, I'm over exaggerating with 40, you're not going to be throwing it as much. But yeah, I mean, I think it definitely, the throws are definitely going to drop a little bit because I think they're going to be more competitive on the defensive side of the ball. But I'm also with you, Eric. I think CeeDee Lamb eventually takes over wide receiver 1 there in almost said Chicago in Dallas.
Yeah, I was just looking up here. CeeDee Lamb through the first 5 weeks was wide receiver 11. Amari wide receiver 16. Keeps showing up here as standard. So obviously PPR they'd be a little higher. I don't know. I'll talk about my undervalue at least, and it's Michael Thomas. And I think that we are just criminally disrespecting the guy who's been the best wide receiver in the league for the last couple of years. And the guy gets an ankle injury, and he's 28 years old, and everybody is like getting super worried about, oh, man, Michael Thomas, we got to get rid of him. Oh, Drew Brees retired, we got to get rid of him. Do you know he's dealt with Teddy Bridgewater, Taysom Hill, Drew Brees? Like, the guy's been all right, if even better than all right every single time. Like, we can't forget that when he played in 2019, he had over 30 more catches and 330 yards than the second closest wide receiver. Like, we thought Devontae Adams had a great season this year, but we're just forgetting how great he was in 2019, Michael Thomas, that is. And, you know, in the 4 games that he played with Taysom Hill last season, he finished as wide receiver 15, but he had no touchdowns. So if you give the guy, you know, 2 touchdowns, for example, he would have been on pace for 8 touchdowns, and he would have been wide receiver 6. Deebo Samuel was the only player, and he was at wide receiver 43 that didn't have a touchdown in that 4-week span. So it really shows you how spare that was with Michael Thomas. But he's gotten 30% of the targets with Taysom Hill, and Jameis Winston's going to come in, and Jameis Winston's been able to provide us with multiple top 5 wide receivers in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So I'm really excited for you. They're going to obviously use Jameis Winston is what I am seeing is going to happen. But even if it's Taysom Hill, wide receiver 12 is where Michael Thomas is right now. I would take him at wide receiver 6, to be honest with you. Like, I think he's still fantastic. I would take him right behind Devontae Adams, right in front of CeeDee Lamb. I would still take him, Michael Thomas, over CeeDee Lamb. I would still take Michael Thomas, not over Calvin Ridley, who's at 8, but he's not my 8, as you all heard or didn't hear just yet. Sorry for your future. But well, now you're past if you're listening. So, anyways, yeah, I got Michael Thomas. I just think he's a massive undervalue. You need to go buy him up right now. People are so worried about his age, and he's got at least 3 or 4 years of great production left.
Yeah, speaking of that, that's a great point about his age. I mean, wide receivers, I think, have a higher lifespan than running backs. So
the great ones, they last, man. Everybody gets scared about 28 and 29. It's like, dude, DeAndre Hopkins is 29. Julio's 31, and he's still doing great. Like, you can't be so worried about that. Travis Kelce's 31, and we're still crowning him like he's the best tight end ever, which he's great.
The number scares people away. I used to be like that. I used to be like 28, and I'm like, all right, I'm done with this player. Let's move on. But now, running backs, yeah, I'm still like that. But with wide receivers, I mean, I just traded for Mike Evans today. He's 27 years old already. I'm thinking in my head, I still have 5 good years out of him.
Dude, yeah, good example. Yeah. Mike Evans is getting written off everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, he just had 14 touchdowns last year. And, I mean, yeah, Tom Brady was there. Tom Brady might have another year or 2 there. But, I mean, still, come on. I mean,
you know, I know Mike Evans and Michael Thomas are different wide receivers, but Mike Evans doing great with Jameis just doesn't mean that Michael Thomas can't. You know? Even with Taysom. But,
yeah.
All right, so I think, Keenan, you've got one of your undervalues left, right? Or
2.
Did you talk about both?
2. I didn't talk about any of them. My first undervalue is I talked about overvalue. But my
there you go.
My first undervalue is, I mean, come on. I know, Antonio, you're not giving much respect on my boy here, Austin Eckler. You and I had some discussions about him where you feel you're a little low on him, but I think a lot of people are a little low on him. I mean, 2019, he was running back 4, and that was with Melvin Gordon in the backfield with him and splitting carries there. Last year, he had a hell of a start to the year where he dominated before he got injured. In the first 3 weeks of 2020, Eckler was on pace to blow his numbers out of the water from previous year. He was the running back 6 through the first 3 games, 47. He rushed 47 times, 236 yards, a touchdown, while catching 16 targets for 142 yards. That was about 19, almost 20 points a game he was averaging before his hamstring injury. And I know everyone's all nervous. They're going to start passing the ball more with Herbert in the backfield and running that offense. But I mean, Eckler is a great receiving running back. So I think people are underestimating him, and that's why I traded for him in 2 leagues this year. And I think people are. I think if you can grab him, snag him. What is he at ADP right now? I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. Running back 11. He's running back 11. Running back 11. Yeah. So I think he should be going a lot higher than that.
Who would you put him in front of, though?
What do you
That's
mean?
the problem. Like, who would you put him in front of? So he's right behind Antonio Gibson.
How
about this? Yeah.
I put him in front of DeAndre Swift. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I can't trust the Lions, and a lot of reports where they want to sign who was the running back that played for Orlando?
Todd Gurley.
Yeah, Todd Gurley. Antonio Gibson, same thing. Like just because he had a great rookie season, there's more. Austin Eckler's put more on paper than Gibson's 1 year. I talked about Derrick Henry, how he might get how it might hurt him. I might put him above Derrick Henry. Nick Chubb and Cam Akers, I don't know.
So are you expecting him to have a top 5 2021 season?
I am. I really am. I think he's going to go right back into form before he got injured.
I mean, he had a lot of catches last year. I mean, you're not wrong. He had over 1,000 yards receiving, I believe, the year before that. So they definitely used the work. It's just it's a whole new coaching staff. They do want to throw the ball. So I mean, you could be right.
There was a report where the offensive coordinators sees him as like I think I sent it to you, Antonio, and sees him as like a Barry Sanders type of running back. So
yeah, I don't know. I always look at Austin Eckler and I'm like, man, I don't know why. I just feel like they never have faith in him, so I can't have faith in him. And then Anthony Lynn finally did it, and then he got injured, and now Anthony Lynn's not there. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I wish the best luck. I mean, looking at his game logs. He's had at least 20.
I mean, if they didn't have faith in him, they would have re-signed Melvin Gordon a couple years ago.
That's a good point. And now Melvin Gordon's about to get kicked out again somewhere.
Yep. And so let's move on here. My second undervalued player is, let me scroll here, DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver 9. I mean, yeah, it's not crazy, wide receiver 9, but I think he's a top 5 wide receiver. I mean, that offense, they have Christian Kirk, who hasn't panned out. They just signed AJ or Green, yeah. And he is getting up there in age. I mean, if Christian Kirk can't get the catches, I don't think Green's going to affect them that much. And they also signed Randall Moore. I mean, big deal. I think DeAndre Hopkins he's proven that he can get 10 plus catches a game. He has gotten 10 plus targets a game. I mean, and I think that will continue. And I think that's going to continue with Calvin Murray, who's developed into a really good quarterback here in the NFL. And I don't see how he is not, just like Michael Thomas at 12. I don't know how people are drafting, a few wide receivers ahead of DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, he had a lower yards per catch than he usually gets. He had pretty similar targets than he usually has been getting. It's just the touchdowns that was only 6. That was just kind of depressing. Not what you were hoping to see out of DeAndre.
But I think people fall in love with the age a lot here. I mean, you got Jefferson at 22. He's the wide receiver 1, and then you have AJ Brown 24 at wide receiver 2. I think a lot of people, and DK Metcalf at 4 at wide receiver 3. Or 4, I'm sorry. He's at wide receiver 4. He's 23 years old. But I think a lot of people, when they're drafting these wide receivers, I think they fall in love with the age, where they don't fall in love with the production that both of these wide receivers, Thomas and Hopkins, have produced year in and year out.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the top 10 last year, there's only 2 players that are younger than 26 years old.
Yeah.
And that was Justin Jefferson and DK Metcalf. You got Adam Thielen, Allen Robinson, Tyler Lockett, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, and Devontae Adams. They're all 26 or older. And here we are sitting preaching that, 27, 28, 29-year-old wide receivers are too old. Well, take a look, because that's what's producing for you.
Yeah.
And all right, well, speaking of old players, I'm going to go the exact opposite. I'm going to a rookie who is my undervalue, and that's Michael Carter, drafted for the New York Jets, currently going as running back 29. He was running back 33 in May, so it was good to see him go up a little bit. But to me, you're getting a starting running back, because in my eyes, there's nobody talented, anywhere close to as talented as he is on that team. I'm not worried about P. Ryan taking the job away from him. I'm not worried about Tevin Coleman coming in. He's a stopgap, right? He's a player that's going to probably take 2 weeks, 3 weeks in the beginning of the season of some time for Michael Carter to finally get through and go into the offense, because Tevin Coleman understands the offense coming from San Francisco, where the new head coach, so Robert Saleh, is. But right now, he is going down right behind Chase Edmonds, right behind Myles Gaskin, behind James Robinson. Give me all the Michael Carter in the world over those players. He's going right behind Trey Sermon. For me, I think he's got a lot easier of a path to production. I think that the offense, as we were just talking about earlier in the episode, they are all forming around Zach Wilson. They are trying to make sure they are more offense than they are defense. So I think they're going to try and get everybody involved that they can. And Michael Carter is going to be the guy behind it. They're going to be handing the ball off to. That line's improving. Everybody's going to be coming back healthier. So I think that I think it's going to be really nice for Michael Carter. I mean, even Kareem Hunt, I would take Michael Carter over. I mean, so I don't know. I'm having a tough time not seeing Michael Carter being a top 20 running back year one.
Yeah.
From there, I don't know what's going to go up, man. I know you like Michael Carter. I love him. Dude, I'm having some remorse here. I have a few drafts I've done already, and I had the opportunity between Trey Sermon and Michael Carter. I picked Trey Sermon in every single one of them.
And then Carter went
and then you went to, I think you ended up getting Carter in all of those. But I believe in Trey Sermon. Maybe I should hedge myself a little bit because I was really a big fan of Michael Carter coming out. I don't know why he went to round 4, but, COVID did a lot of things. All right, let's talk about some overvalue. Keenan, you talked about Deontay. Eric, you have one of your overvalues you want to talk about?
Yeah, it's another guy that's going up high right now, and that is DeAndre Swift. And currently in startups, he's going 8th overall. It's just for me that's a bit much. I am a big fan of him, but I still worry about the offense as a whole, and what it's actually going to look like. And just guys that are going behind him: DK Metcalf, CeeDee Lamb, Cam Akers, Tyreek Hill. All those guys I would easily take ahead of him. So yeah, I mean, just in general, based off that and value as a whole, I think that's a bit too high for me. I need to see more and see what this offense looks like before I spend that high of a pick on him.
So let me ask you this: you don't think that after Keenan's rant on Austin Eckler, that's how people maybe are looking at DeAndre Swift, just a bit way more athletic and elusive and younger? Like, what worries you guys? Is it the fact that, they are bringing other people in? Like, what if they run the ball 400 times a game and he still sees 225 to 230 of those?
Well, we just talked about trusting Eckler and how the Chargers haven't really put 100% faith in Eckler. Have the Lions put any trust in Swift?
I think they put all the trust in Swift.
I disagree. I mean, last year after that one drop in the end zone.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a different offense. I just need to see more of what the offense is gonna look like with Jared Goff in there as well. They only have TJ Hawkinson, so I mean, there's gonna be stacked boxes most likely. The guys I named.
Don't they? Didn't they sign a wide receiver?
I'm just taking ahead of him.
What did you say, Keenan?
Didn't they sign a wide receiver?
Who, Detroit?
Or they drafted a wide receiver. Let's see here. Detroit Lions.
They got a few. They got Quintus Cephas. They got Amon-Ra St. Brown.
That's what it was.
They have Tyrell Williams. Nobody that's really bothering. TJ Hawkinson's could probably give me a number 1, but I see a world where Swift's at least 3rd.
And Jamal Williams kind of scares me there. That signing.
And it's no hate. So I guess that's the thing. It's not that I hate Swift.
No, I know. I'm just playing a little advocate for you because he's right behind Chubb, right above Henry. I mean, you're not wrong.
Cam Akers, I have above Swift just in my rankings in general. So, and DK Metcalf, I would just easily take over him as well. I love DK Metcalf with his age. He has Russell Wilson, what he showed last year. CeeDee Lamb, I already talked about CeeDee Lamb, obviously. And then you got Tyreek Hill. And there was a few other guys. I don't remember who offhand, but it's just he hasn't showed enough for me to be ahead of these guys and be that high. And this I was looking in Superflex as well, so he was going ahead of a few quarterbacks that I don't know. I don't know if I could do that, but yeah, it's just more of a value standpoint, and I just need to see more.
All right, that's fair. I was going to say, if you wanted, we could move on because Eric kind of mentioned one of my players that I think is overvalued. Unless you want a final note here on Swift.
I don't got anything. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, you just mentioned loving DK Metcalf, Eric, and I am not a fan of his ADP at wide receiver 4 right now. It's kind of bothersome to me. And as much as I love DK Metcalf, I love the talent. You love looking at the guy. Just in general, he's a chiseled masterpiece. But the problem that I think that I have is Russell Wilson. And you're hoping that they're going to let him unleash and let him cook like they did in the beginning of last year. But then they kind of rescinded all of that, and DK Metcalf was a direct benefactor. Tyler Lockett had 100 catches in PPR, but he just had over 1,000 yards, so he didn't really do too much. He finished top 10 just as Metcalf. But the scary thing with me is in his first 8 games, he had 7 games with 92 yards or more, DK Metcalf. Top that with 8 touchdowns. You had a fantastic 8 games. The problem was when everything reverted, that last 8 games, he only had 2 games, over 92 yards. So when you're sitting here relying on him after his monstrous first 8 games really probably helped you to get 6-7 wins, now you're relying on him for the second half, and he only puts up 4 touchdowns, scores in just 3 games, and isn't able to get you a lot of yards. And he's already that ultimate boomer bust guy, mostly booming. But when you're relying on Russell Wilson, and if that's not what they're going to do next season, even though they're saying that, they drafted Dwayne Eskridge, who's a slot guy. They talked about wanting to have some shorter routes for them because that's all people knew how to do was cover them down deep. And they re-signed Chris Carson, so they're going to be a little bit dedicated to the run game. I'd rather have Stephon Diggs, who's right behind him. I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb probably than DK Metcalf right now, and I would definitely have Calvin Ridley over DK Metcalf. DeAndre Hopkins and even Jamar Chase, I'd rather have over DK Metcalf right now. So I love the guy.
Would you rather have them right now or in a dynasty league?
And in the dynasty, my apologies, but I'd still rather have them right now than DK. So even next year, I'd be saying the same thing. I just think maybe I retract the Hopkins. I wouldn't have rather have Hopkins, but the other guys I would definitely still rather have than Metcalf, just because you need the consistency out of Russell Wilson, and he's never even thrown the ball 600 times in his career, not even 575. So you know he's going to get 120 or 130 targets. You have to rely on them. I feel like he's like a combination of Deshaun Jackson and Randy Moss. That's kind of really odd, but an ultimate boomer bust who really gets you a lot more boom than bust, but the bust can really hurt you. Okay. That's what I got for my overvalue.
I'll go with my next one.
There you go.
And that's Josh Jacobs. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious with Kenyon Drake going in there. We're still seeing Jacobs going in the top of the 4th, late 3rd in startups. And for me, that's just a bit high. If Drake didn't go there, sure, I definitely see it. There was a lot of potential, but I think them signing Drake really showed that they don't believe in Jacobs long term, and they needed another body in there at the running back position. And speaking of guys that are going behind him, that I would much rather have Javonte Williams, Brandon Ayuk, Mike Evans, and Juju Smith-Schuster, who was one of my undervalued. So it's just a bit too high. I wasn't a huge fan of him, coming out of last season, and I don't know. That's a bit too high, especially in the 3rd. Sure, if you want to go 4th, but 3rd round for him, I just can't do it.
Yeah, it's been tough. I think they're probably going to run the rock a bit, but when they're, they bringing in some wide receivers, they're really pass heavy as far as to the tight end. You're relying on Derek Carr.
And you brought in Kenyon Drake, who's good at catching the ball too out of the backfield.
Yeah, $11 million to pay him.
And not only that, are they going to re-sign Josh Jacobs too?
I don't think they are. I really don't. The only way I could see them re-signing is if Gruden's fired and they bring in a new coaching staff and GM in.
Yeah, and that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah,
not going to happen.
When you sign,
I think Mayock will be gone. He'll be taking the heat for all this, even though Gruden's really running the show.
Yeah, he's running the show. Yeah, Gruden's time was in the early 2000s. Don't know what he's doing coaching anymore.
We'll see, dude. I guess so. There's rumors. There's how Tom Brady came out and said,
I saw that.
Did you catch that quote? Like of who that team decided to keep that expletive.
I think it was Jimmy G. Jimmy G.
That's exactly who I thought they were talking about. There were some people thinking it was Derek Carr with the Raiders, and I'm like, So Tom Brady came out and said that there was a team he wanted to sign with last offseason, but they decided to stick with, that I think he like cursed at this person. But
is there
speculation?
Is there someone we could watch the full interview? Because all I saw was like that little clip.
I think it was on HBO. I'm not sure exactly. I have to double check where it was. But I definitely thought it was Jimmy G too. That was my first reaction. But then people were saying Oakland or Vegas, and then there was rumors he wanted to go to Vegas last year, and I'm like, I don't understand. I don't why. People want that.
If you think about it, you're going from New England to Vegas. How much more better offensively is New England to Vegas? I mean, yeah, you have Weller and you drafted a young rookie wide receiver, but other than that, you don't really have much. He was going
no pass receiving backs.
Yeah, he was going to a team, and their offensive line is horrible. Oakland's. Actually, I don't know if they are.
The line wasn't. No, they shipped people away. They were really good.
Oh yeah. They did ship. Yeah, that's right. But like, he went to Tampa where they have all these wide receivers, running backs, and San Francisco is pretty much the same thing if you think about it.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about your next?
Right. No, we can skip on. I wanted to talk about the Mafia market.
Well, let me talk about Judy here real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, he's my other overvalue. He's wide receiver 25 here. Excuse me. Didn't really see much out of him last year. I mean, yeah, Drew Lock was his quarterback, but I mean, Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock are there this year. Don't really see much, improving on that offense with those two quarterbacks. But I mean, Sutton's coming back, guys, and last year Sutton didn't play at all, and we were hoping we would see more out of Judy, and we really didn't. All we saw was, he had 52 catches and 3 touchdowns, but I mean, Sutton's coming back. Let me just say that again. Who had a great year the year before he got injured. So I just don't think Judy at 25. I don't think there's value there until you figure out.
I would trade Jerry Judy for Juju Smith-Schuster right now.
Yeah, I mean, there you go.
I think what you're doing though is where you're drafting Judy is you're almost drafting him at his ceiling right now with that dynasty value. That's what's making people uncomfortable. Because I don't think he could be wide receiver 25 this year with the current situation. But I think if they were to get a better quarterback,
but is that current situation going to get any better? That's the thing.
I mean, if they get Aaron Rodgers, I know that, or even Deshaun Watson. I mean, there's been rumors that both of them might have some interest, and they're very attractive. Great defense, great offense. That's literally the only thing they're missing.
If they get either of those quarterbacks, I may rescind what I just said.
It's July. It hasn't happened yet. It's not happening.
I mean, we'll definitely talk some Aaron Rodgers more in the offseason, but
especially Deshaun Watson.
I don't see that. John Elway's going to sit there and say Teddy Bridgewater is going to be my 2021 option. I mean, that's what he's going with at this very moment, as of June 30th. But I have a very tough time believing 2 months from now that's the case. So with that being, I like Jerry Judy a lot still, though. The guy's a fantastic, amazing route runner. He had like the most air yards. I think he was like the most air yards the last 6 weeks of the whole season. Like they targeted him. He had some drops, yeah, but they still kept throwing the ball.
This isn't nothing against him. It's what's
I know.
That's what it is.
Opportunity is a big thing. I actually just wanted to talk maybe about 1 or 2 trades because I know we got Outhouse coming next week. I'm hoping to be a little active with some trades this week to get some more on there, but there's a few trades I'd really like to talk about there. But we were just talking about DK Metcalf. A big old trade just went down in one of our leagues. So I was hoping maybe we could talk about that one. It was a 10-team PPR league. CMC, Christian McCaffrey got moved. It only took a couple years. But CMC, Anthony McFarland, and the 2-4 for DK Metcalf, 110 and the 22 second. So I'll say that one more time. CMC, Anthony McFarland, who we could really just toss out. So CMC and 2-4 for DK Metcalf, 110 and a 22 second. I
mean, if you know more about the teams, I think you and I agreed. Just looking at the two teams, the CMC team won the trade, but I think it's pretty even. I don't think there is much to give crap to either owner. I think it's pretty even. If you didn't know what the other team had.
Let's see. Your current your 10th running back currently off the board is Rondale Moore, your 10th rookie. Sorry. So if you want to input Rondale Moore currently there, for me on the surface, like I don't know if that's enough value for CMC. But
I mean, what more can you ask for though when you're getting
honestly another player, another proven player? I mean, I unfortunately just talked about DK, so that maybe there is some recency bias with that right now. But like CMC is the overall startup player. He had 30 points a game last year.
Back to my point though that I made earlier is CMC's coming off an injury. You're one bad year from not having value on him.
I don't know if I don't think that's the case. If that's the case, I want to find that owner. I'll take every owner and I'll get some CMC. But I think I've been afraid. I mean, I've been trying to gauge offers for CMC. But
we also know what happens with running backs, especially running backs that have a lot of carries, a lot of workload, a big workload. They eventually start slipping, and that's why I moved Zeke earlier in the same league. Moved Zeke, and a second next year for Mike Evans and a first next year. Running backs with a lot of workload, they start scaring me. Just like Christian McCaffrey, I feel like Zeke is one bad year from having no value next year. And imagine this. Now that I'm talking about this, imagine this, that Zeke gets hurt. Tony Pollard steps in and has another great year. I don't think Dallas is scared to move on from him. But Carolina drafted Chubba Hubba too.
Chubba Hubba.
Yeah, or Chubba. Why'd I say Chubba Hubba?
I mean, I thought you did it on purpose, but now that you didn't, it makes it a little bit worse.
Yeah, but they did draft another running back, and I mean, Chubba Herbert. But
you're right though. I mean, like if we've seen Pollard do it, if Pollard gets the opportunity and he succeeds, why are you going to pay Zeke? But I mean, I don't know, man. I think CMC's the ultimate.
Gum or whatever it was.
That's what came to my mind when I said it.
Oh man! All right, Eric, what was your quick thoughts on that trade?
I don't know. No, I thought the value was fair. I agree with Keenan. Like CMC could legitimately be 1 year away from having seriously less value, and
he'll be 26.
Yeah, but
he's 25 and like one of the greatest.
All right, seriously, less value doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a 7th round pick. You know, from going from the first overall player to even the 2nd round, that's significantly less value. And somebody like DK Metcalf, in my opinion, his value is it probably won't go any lower, especially with these older guys behind him getting even older next offseason. I really don't see DK's value getting any lower, potentially getting higher. Maybe not at wide receiver 4. You can't get much higher. So
you can now.
You can. But I don't see it getting any lower from where it's at. If anything, maybe 5 or 6. And I can see CMC getting much lower. And he gained the extra 1st round pick with the 2nd next year. I'm not really excited about mid-seconds this year anyways. So I thought value-wise, it was all right.
Antonio loves his 2nd, so I was looking at the draft board.
But for this year, obviously, I want the CMC side. If I'm a championship team, I'm definitely taking the CMC.
But that's the thing. Our listeners don't know the 2 teams. And if I'm looking at the 2 teams, I think looking at the 2 teams, I think the CMC side won because what the other team has at running back, they gave up CMC. But if you're just looking at the two trades, I think it's pretty fair. If you didn't,
I mean, he dropped down. You know, that person that got CMC, they dropped down 5 spots in the draft. They go from 110 to 24, and then basically they gave up DK Metcalf and a 2nd. So give up Metcalf in a 2nd, move down 5 spots, and you get CMC. I mean,
just like me, I'm gonna regret trading Elliott. Just like who traded CMC. I think they might regret trading CMC next year too. So it's. But,
you're right. So you're a 1 year early than a 1 year late, and we saw Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley hit a cliff hard.
Exactly.
I know that's a big excuse and a reason for right now, but I still believe in CMC. I got to try to scoop him up some places. But that, I think, is going to end the show. My contacts are really yelling at my eyes. So with that being said, I think we'll close it out. So make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at Antonio DeniziFF and at Keenan _716 and Eric at Biggie_FF. Make sure you're following us on Twitter as well at the Dynasty Mafia on the pod, Dynasty Mafia _FF. Make sure if you are checking us out on YouTube, you like, share, subscribe. If you're not, make sure you got to try and do that so you can see Eric's good old mug there. But other than that, I hope you guys had a great episode. There was a lot of talking again. Yeah, happy 4th. Have a good weekend. I got my 5-year anniversary coming up this week.
You too. Me too.
Oh man.
June 3rd.
That's right. We did.
Yeah.
June 3rd. Doesn't even know his damn anniversary.
Or July 3rd.
There you go. Oh yeah, we got married. We got married a day apart. Why don't we?
Yeah.
Why don't we know that?
I mean, I knew that, but I'm also thinking it's still June.
I suck.
Man,
that's true. Well, we aren't still. But all right, yeah. So we got a lot of exciting things. Next week we got Dynasty Outhouse here. Russ Fisher on July 6th. Keenan, July 6th, Tuesday. I'll have to double check and see what I told you too. But
I think
we should be good to go.
I really think you said the 5th. All right.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Mafia out.